We take what is and we sugarcoat it, dilute it, pretend that it's something that we think the other person is going to prefer to hear.
One of our main concepts is withhold, withdraw, project. So you withhold that something, you don't share.
Yes.
So that's the first act. And so you like put a plug in the hose.
Yep.
And then it builds up. If you've got lots of things that you haven't shared, you've got debris in your structure.
Hello, my Katie.
Hello, Soph. Today, to me, you look particularly like here. There's a sense of, like you like maybe, I don't know if you were a little fuzzy or something, but it's like everything has come into focus.
So I feel there was also, I had an interesting weekend, met friends, and there really was a moment of a past experience that came up that had to do with shame. Like I was sharing something that happened with shame, and I started humming soon after a song, and a friend of ours in the room speaks Hebrew, like he's Israeli by base, and the song I was singing was in Hebrew, and I know nothing about what it means. But he said, "Do you know what you're singing?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And he said, literally, the words you are saying are, "Never, my child, never feel shame." And I was like, "Oh, that's
goosebumps."
Right? And so I literally said, "You know what? Shame. I'm done with that." And he was like, "Yes." So not that I only wanted to talk about that, but thank you for noticing, because I feel like something has lifted of not belonging here or not being fully accepted of sorts by myself. Most of that went away. So there.
Oh,
Maybe that's what
big celebration. Wow.
it was really special. Something else happened that I did want to bring and talk to you about, because again, I did my thing where I'm like, oh, I really want to know what Kitty would say to this. And so now
well, I love it that comes up for you.
all the time. Oh, not probably Monday day. So the conversation was about this person who was telling me that he had to have a difficult conversation with this person he works with. And he started describing what he wanted to say. And I could feel that energetically so he would say, "I'm really excited to be talking to you right now." And I would stop and say, "Are you excited?" And he was like, "No, I'm scared shitless." And I was like, "Okay." And then he would say something else. And I would be like, "But are you impatient to see," or whatever word he would have used. And one of it was exactly what he felt. And so I would like to bring up the topic of like, where along the way have we learned to be so polite and so damn far from what we actually mean? It's very like he thought it was going to help the topic by softening it and smoothing it and making it into this thing. And I was like, "But what do you actually feel?" And he would pause, and he's a deep guy. Like he's not someone that's not done work, but so he would pause and he would be like, "No, what I actually am is, I'm really scared." And I was like, "Well, how about you say that?" Like and we unravel the whole context by using the words that he actually means. And so I wanted to bring that to us as more of this like radical truth we've been talking about. And
yes, and the first thing that came to me was something that that Gay and I've said for years, and it is Mr. Duffy lived a short distance from his body. The
oh yes.
And my sense is that many people have actually learned. Well, I think first of all, most people live up in their heads.
Yes.
I mean, they literally locate themselves in their heads and they think that's them.
Yes.
And so they think about things and they respond to, figuring it out and making judgments, and which are all head functions of our prefrontal cortex. But it's as if they have no other parts, like no body. And my sense is that dissociation has been going on for at least 2,000 years.
Oh,
so, and we're getting really good at it because there's been from the religious point of view, which has been, present, religious, spiritual, how we're organizing ourselves, has been present for eons. But there's been this conviction that the body is bad
Mm.
and that the head could be good. The
Mm.
head could be in control. And so, ooh, body, head good, body bad. Don't feel, don't let any, because it has icky, ooky stuff in it, and you might let it out, and ooh, it would be shameful. So
Oh.
there's tremendous shame attached to, just like normal bodily functions. And I was remembering, something that people don't realize, people who are much younger than me, is that when I was growing up, you would never know that women had periods. You would never know. I mean, it was never mentioned. It was never mentioned
Wow.
on, well, of course, television was just starting, but it was never mentioned in public,
Like
ever.
it doesn't exist. Like it.
It doesn't exist. So, no, when I was growing up, I mean, I mean, where do babies come from and how does all of that work? And that was never talked about.
Wow.
We had maybe an hour in fifth grade where they sort of explained things, but it left everybody much more confused. We were all kind of like,
Oh, even worse. Oh,
I know, but what came with that is there must be something really bad
yeah.
and shameful about it because we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And no, and people would like whisper, if if somebody would say, "Oh my God, you have blood on the back of your pants," and would they be whisked off to the bathroom, and so this whole sense of, oh, and then when you combine that with how you're supposed to dress
Mm.
to de-emphasize your body, but then also to emphasize it. So all of these crazy messages about be sexy but don't be pure,
Yes. Yes.
and so that all of that, I think, is the precursor to what so many people feel of there must be something wrong with me
Yes.
because I have these sensations or yearnings or longings or body sensations that confuse me, but I don't see that reflected anywhere.
Yes. 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 And so you link, it's funny how you went there from my initial thought of like we lie. We don't, well, we lie. We politicize. We make more
We
polite.
politicize. That's yeah.
We do. We do. We take what is and we sugarcoat it, dilute it, pretend that it's something that we think the other person is going to prefer to hear all at
Right.
once. And so are we saying then the truth is in the body and that we're somehow moving a few steps away from our own truth that way?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we're taught to do that. And so if you add on to that, I mean, there are layers and layers, but it's really about how you show up in society, your public persona as compared to your private life,
So
like how you're supposed to look. We could have, and we have had discussions about how women are supposed to dress and not dress. And, we could, people could write, how many different messages they've gotten about, don't wear skirts that are too short. If you get assaulted, well, what were you wearing?
yeah,
And how did you make that happen? So I think particularly for women, I think men, of course, have their own set of, social um, and cultural, like they can't feel or be soft or
yes,
be scared,
yes.
but we're not supposed to be women, not supposed to be angry. So there are all kinds of ways in which if you just show up in your social self, um, then you won't stir the waters, you won't get into trouble, you won't be too visible. So
Yes.
then it ties in again to the upper limit problem. Don't be too much.
Won't be too much. Won't be too much. Wow. And so, how do you think someone can? I mean, obviously, the conversation we're having is giving it oxygen to begin with, but how does someone go from? Because I know that when I met you, there was definitely a politicizing of things and saying what I was imagining, not even the truth, because I don't know what people want to hear really. But I remember a shift where I would say something that was not exactly true, like a white lie, and I'd be like, "Ah," like I would start to really feel like it rang a bell in my heart, in my body that just sang really untrue.
Oh, that's so beautiful that you say that because I was sharing just recently one of our integrity cards, which is really about I notice my body sensations and inner experience that let me know I'm concealing instead of revealing.
Oh, yes, yes.
And you were just, that's what you were just doing.
Mhm.
And most people haven't given themselves permission to notice themselves at that level because they live up here. And
Yes.
so if you're not actually experiencing the fluttering or the clenching or the ugh, inside, then you can't really
You don't even
connect with
know.
it
You don't, yeah, yeah.
or express it. So you get disconnected from you and then get disconnected from others because it's as if we've got our hose, our vitality hose connected out there
Yes.
and it's not connected in here. So we get all of our juice from out there. How I'm perceived. Do people like me? Oh, they don't like me. Oh, what did I do wrong? And then that dialogue removes us more and more from the source of our own aliveness, which is what's truly going on, what we call the raw data. Like my skin itches, or I just had this sort of come up in me and I don't know what it's about, but if we can't explain it or give the references for it or justify it, we try to discount it.
And so then what happens? Like, what happens to a relationship when I say my half truths, you respond your half truths, and then more? And then, I mean, where are we in like minutes where we don't
Well,
even.
this is so cool because I was just sharing with some folks about from conscious loving. One of our main concepts is withhold, withdraw, project. And withhold is what you're describing. So I don't say it because I'm not quite sure how you're going to respond. And I'd much rather just sort of keep the peace. So human beings are meant to express. Something happens, like if the little kid is going along, they're expressing all the time, running, and oh, and
Yeah, yeah,
ouch, oh,
yeah.
oh, I like you, no, stop that. They're expressing
Yeah.
all the time,
Yes.
but we teach them how not to do that.
Yes.
Be quiet. That's not enough. This is
Be
not the time
polite.
to express.
Be
Be
polite.
polite. Don't speak to your mother that way.
Uh-huh.
All of those messages. So in a relationship, one of the things I recognize also is it's not the thing. Like I might think, oh, I withhold when I'm angry, which is something that I did
Okay.
because I just was not okay to be angry. My dad could be angry, but the rest of us could. We had to go to our rooms if we were angry. And it wasn't fair, but that's how it was. And so if I started to feel angry, I would basically take it into my body.
Yes.
So that's what happens. If we don't express it, it goes back into our bodies and expresses through symptoms, through our
Disease.
blood pressure,
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
dis-ease.
Yes.
So what that does is separate, I disconnect. So if I'm expressing, I'm in connection. But if I withhold, I'm disconnected first from me and
Mhm.
then from you.
Yes.
And then if I'm disconnected, you start looking different.
Mm.
So if I'm withholding, then suddenly I start making up stories about you because it looks like my discomfort is centered over there. You've done something to make me uncomfortable or angry or mad or sad. And so I like, well, yeah, you're being really critical today,
Right.
rather than, ooh, I feel scared. I don't quite know what's going on. I feel scared. So that if you're feeling flat, like there's not energy in your close relationships, it's kind of like same old, same old.
Yeah.
I look for, okay, what have I been withholding?
Yes.
And in trainings with some of my students, we would have regular sessions where people would go, I've got to withhold.
Ah, yes.
I got to withhold. And it would always be so juicy because other people would be like a ping pong. Oh, God, I have this withholding about that. And I go do it. Yeah, and then everybody would be all woo, and and the energy would be flowing again. But then people would get into a habit of waiting until they had enough withholds that they couldn't stand it anymore, and then they would kind of dump all of the withholds,
Yes.
which I don't recommend.
No, 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 that's too much. So you were describing it as withhold, withdraw, project.
That's
So
correct.
I withdraw that something hurt my feelings or that I was sad about something. I don't
So
say
you withhold that something, you
that's
don't share.
yes.
So that's the first act. And so you like put a plug in the hose.
Yeah.
And then it builds up in you.
I wish people saw this moment. If you guys are not watching YouTube, please go see YouTube. That was delicious. All right, so we plug it and then we blow up like a Japanese fish.
Yes.
Then what happens?
Well, then the projection is accusing somebody of doing something that you're actually doing.
Ah,
So
yes.
that's really what projection is. I think it's you, but it's really me.
Yes.
And so if I'm disconnected, I don't feel where I'm located. And I think it's you. And if you would just change, I'd feel better.
Yes, but I think even I mean, not more, but parallel to this, what I experience sometimes, oh, funny, I have an experience right now where a friend of mine, whom I love, we don't have, it's not exactly like the friendship, like, you and I have, like, it's a little more superficial, but we super, super close. And I'm sensing that something's been going on, that my sense is maybe there is a withhold over there. So I spoke to it and I said, I don't know if I'm making it up, I'm making up a story, or I don't know what's going on, but I've been feeling less closeness between us. And I'm wondering, and the way I phrased it, which maybe could have been better, but I said, I'm wondering if there's something I've done that needs to be talked about, or is there something that you are not liking that you'd love us to share about? No, 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 things are great, things are wonderful. Meanwhile, the friendship has kind of gone away. Like there's no more,
Mm-hmm.
before it would be like every time we would do something, we would check with each other to do it
Mm-hmm.
together, like, so it sounds exactly like that. It sounds like there was a withhold and then it was withdrawn from the friendship. And now it's more like, now I feel that thing is being projected. So, okay, so if I ask the person and they still don't acknowledge that there is something in the air, where do I go from there? Like,
Well, I would. What first occurred to me is when I heard that, I feel sad. I even feel sad when I hear that, and so
yeah,
that's what I would say. Oh, I'm feeling sad, and I kind of I felt just a little droop
yeah,
happen in me,
yeah,
and so then I would just stay with that.
okay,
This is my experience, and then that might open up something, but if for sure it's going to open up my connection with me
yes,
because I'm acknowledging there is something going on
yeah,
for me.
yes,
I have no control over whether you're going to or another person is going to open up to what's really true for them.
yes,
But I get to enjoy. There's nothing more delicious than being in integrity with yourself.
yeah, yeah,
That sense of wholeness, because actually that's what integrity means. So I'm not leaking anywhere.
yeah,
I don't have things that I haven't said. I'm not sitting on something. I just am in this sense of I'm located and I'm ready for the next interaction. I can be engaged in life. I'm not back in because the other thing that happens, I was just thinking of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. We kind of get, we make our own thing kind of precious and we're getting get back in our little cave and the other person is the one who's wrong. But we may not express any of that openly, but it does,
it
it
is.
gets
It's in there.
expressed just like you were experiencing it with your friend.
Yeah,
And for me, part of why I felt sad is that I've had that same experience, and the other person is just never. It's like they're not interested.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just a lack of interest, or do you think we're proposing something that most people are really not equipped to play with? Like I'm pretty sure that if he was to say, I did make a comment once in front of him that I think is where it started. Like I said something that I kind of regret saying it a little bit. I mean, it wasn't an attack or anything, but I made a comment a little bit about it. And I have a feeling it happened there.
Uh,
And
was
so,
it some kind of an evaluation of him or?
well, he asked, like, his knees was hurting and his back was hurting and da 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 da. Da. Almost every time we'd see each other, there was a little bit of that. And I kind of used somewhat, not sarcasm, but I said, wow, like aging sounds fun on your side of the fence, I said,
Ah, uh-huh.
along the lines of that, which was,
Okay.
I regret saying that. And I said it
Yeah.
right away. I was like, I don't know why I said it like that. It's just, I think maybe the
Well,
more truthful thing would have said, you seem to be going through a lot of physical challenges, and I didn't say,
my guess is that underneath that you did have a judgment about him
yeah, yeah,
and that you didn't share.
yeah.
And for me, when that comes up, because all of us have judgments, I do my best to say, "Oh, I noticed a judgment floating out."
You say that out loud. You would have said
Oh
that
yeah,
in person. Yeah,
yeah, because that's what's actually happening. And
yeah.
otherwise, it becomes then there's something wrong with you rather than I'm creating a judgment about you, and that's something that my head is doing, and it may not have anything to do with you.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that's what happened. It was a little like every time we would see each other, you would talk about physical ailments, and that
Yeah,
became a little bit like not super interesting. Like it was always,
right, exactly.
not super interesting. But so what could I have said that would have been the truth, but not like what do I say? Like it's annoying to be around someone who talks about their ailments all day long, pretty much.
Well, we pretty much. I find myself losing interest in the conversation. I remember
Yeah,
at a
that's good. I like
conference
that.
years and years ago, I was talking to another dance movement therapist, and we were going on, and then quite suddenly she said, I'm not interested in this conversation anymore. And she left. And it was like, I was, I
Yeah.
was kind of stunned. And like, my first one was like, well, aren't you a snot? And,
Yeah.
and then I reflected on that and I thought, man, I'd like to be able to be
Well,
that free
that
in
freedom,
my
I was going to
speaking
say, that freedom.
is that I'm leaving now. I'm not interested in this conversation anymore. And then however you take that, that's your responsibility.
Right. Right.
So I think a lot of this we get into, it sounded like hero
Uh-huh.
on your part, like, oh, how can I frame this that is not going to be?
Mhm.
So it's actually a devaluing of the other person.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't think you can handle this. So I have to kind of tone it down a little bit so that and I like to consider other people as whole and resourceful. And if we get into it, like the other person gets mad or they get scared or they get huffy, then my underlying do we have an underlying commitment that we're more interested in the vitality of our relationship than we are in not ever having a kerfuffle, because
Mhm.
those can all be worked through.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing that I went to when you said that was if there is no explicit, like I feel like you and I have an explicit commitment that when we have talked about it, that I may be clumsy if I want to say something that's a little difficult to say, but I will do it and I will try and maybe I will ask you to receive it as best we can in that moment because I'm really trying, like, whatever we'll do.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have an agreement with everyone. Like, is it something that I should be putting in motion with all of my friends? Like, do we have this agreement that we should tell all the time that we perceive to be the truth? Like I feel like it should be negotiated a little bit in advance.
I totally agree. And that's one of the things we talk about with conscious communication in relationships that you don't have to do this with everybody. Like, I don't have this agreement with the clerk at the grocery store.
Yes.
But with people, what I say is with people you want to be close to,
Yes.
create an agreement. So, I'm willing to be honest with you. I'm willing. So, what I do is I'm willing to be honest with you. I'm willing to take responsibility for if there's any kind of a hassle going on. I'm willing to take responsibility for however I helped create that.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to take responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in the flow of connection with you than I am in defending myself,
Yes.
because that's going to come up. And
Oh,
so, I'm willing to go through whatever, however we need to ride that out so that I can enhance my closeness with you.
oh, I would like that to be transcribed and in the notes. I think those three, and I might even add, "Are you?" Like I would kind of like, which is kind of how you met Gay, like that whole story.
That's exactly how I met Gay. And what we call this a co-commitment.
Yes,
So this is my commitment with the universe. It's not if you do it, I'll do it too. It's really like, this is the way I'm choosing to live.
yes,
And I'm interested in having relationships with people who are also interested in that commitment.
yes,
So we make a co-commitment where we each maintain our wholeness.
yes,
Rather than, okay, you take your part and then I'll take my part.
yeah,
And then we'll have to rearrange it. If you do something bad, it's gonna cost you.
yeah, yeah,
So when I have that framework, it's this lovely container. I think of it as my porch swing. So I
mm,
can come and sit on the porch swing with you and we can
yeah.
have that interaction anytime, because that's the basis of our relationship. Now we might get up and run around the yard and throw leaves at each other, but we've got the porch swing
Yeah.
to hold us and to come back to.
It's really making me want to, like right away I mean, I thought of Abby, I thought of Wally, like the few people that are really close to me.
Yeah,
And I want to have this deep conversation of like, is this like, are we saying everything? Are we saying it the best we
everything.
can? Are we saying, it's like, are we in disagreement? Because then when comes the situation, we can refer to it. It's like if we didn't know that red meant, stop the car and green stop, meant start the car, we would
Right.
be in all sorts of accidents. And I feel like not telling someone that I'm really committed to the truth and all of it and not be polite about it. Are you willing to play on that street with me? Like, are you also
Oh,
playing?
I love that. Yeah,
They might say no. They might say, what? It
exactly.
seems too complicated. Like, it seems like too much. Like, I don't, then it's great that I know that I can have a friendship with someone. I can go have a quick dinner or play
Right.
football or do a little something, but it's
Yeah,
not,
but you don't have to go deep with everybody. In fact, it's kind of impossible to go deep
it would
with
be so
everybody.
much time. And so it's a lot.
It is a lot. And what Gay and I noticed in the early part of our relationship, we made this commitment, but then there was all kinds of stuff to clear,
Yes.
because he would say something that would remind me of my brother, and
Yes.
and the way he treated me, and it wasn't fair, and so there was lots to talk about. And
Yes.
so the in the first part of our relationship, we had lots of conversations where we were unpacking. But
Mhm.
now, and for many years, we're current with
Yes.
each other.
Yes.
That's the other thing that's just wonderful, is that we have all that juiciness to share with each other without any debris. It
Mhm.
really removes the debris flow, because, with our rains here in California, just recently after the fires, the big concern was debris flow.
Yeah.
Because and it's the same if you've got lots of things that you haven't shared,
Yeah.
you've got debris in your structure.
Yeah.
And so if something happens, like some big thing like the fires, or,
Yes.
something that, opens up, you get debris flow
Yeah.
through there, that can make you think, oh man, this is not worth it.
Yeah.
So there is some like, we have a structure that we've created. I think we've talked about it before, but this would be a good time to mention it again. We have these 2 10-minute conversations that people can have. One of them is what we call the stuff talk, and the other is heart talk. And stuff talk is about the business of your relationship.
Aha.
And heart talk is about what's going on for you inside that you maybe haven't had time during the week to share with a partner. This could also be used with close friends. We did it originally for romantic, or partners, your life partner. And so that you're not, like you could be out making your breakfast in the morning and the other person comes in and they, want to process a whole thing, so that you can have your life and you can keep unpacking these things, but not have it overwhelm you. So people might find, so 10 minutes a week for stuff talk, like who's going to do what, when,
The
about
logistics. Are you
the
talking about?
house,
Yes.
or the kids, or the pets, or the projects, and then the heart talk is, I think, what people neglect.
Yes.
So 10 minutes where you connect, where you just share about anything that's been coming up that might have been overlooked, or you went, oh, that's right, I didn't tell you about that the other day.
Yes. 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 So do you recommend doing one after the other, like in the same
No,
thing?
I don't. I recommend doing them on separate days.
Separate, like completely separate, meaning different days even.
Yeah, or maybe, yes, I would say even different days.
Okay. Okay.
So
Good.
that it's just, today we're going to focus on, like, well, what I do now with Gay is I say, now I need to have a business meeting soon
Yeah.
because I have all this stuff. And then what I needed to learn to do was to write down the business stuff.
Yes. So it's
So I
like
wasn't just, putting that into, in the middle
yes.
where, taking a walk with each other, or we're just about to make love. And I go, oh, I forget,
I
we
forgot to tell you about this bill that arrived on the
about
thing.
this bill that we didn't pay, right.
Okay, thank
So,
you for that. It's funny because, as you know, my company is called Be Current, but the way when you said it, there was like this notion of debris. It's like that is what being current is in your mind, in your house, in your heart, in your communication. I mean, even what we were discussing with Megan when Megan came to talk about detoxing the body,
yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like it's a version of detoxing the communication so that
Yes.
it's current. It's like that's what I have with my boo. When we go to bed, we often talk about how nothing,
Mhm.
I mean, if something is, we do discuss it, but how many nights do we go to bed and wake up in the morning and there's no noise? It's
There's
just
no
current.
noise.
There's no
There's
noise.
no debris. And so what takes the place of debris are these wonderful impulse, your intuition, your creativity expands, your co-creativity expands because there's this open space of flow that's no withhold and no debris. And it is something I wish for everybody in the world. It is
So
the
delicious.
most delicious
Oh,
experience. Yeah,
yeah.
I get goosebumps even talking about it.
I know. I know. I think this is a good place for us to stop, but I will definitely make sure these notes are helpful because I think it's small. It's like grain of sand. They're small, one at a time, but then you look at a beach and it's just a bunch of them. So
Yeah, it's about that's all it is a bunch of them.
a bunch of little grain of salt of sand. And so I really want to. I feel, and it makes like if you have a grain of sand in your shoe, you end up with a hole. It's small, but if it keeps irritating,
All but powerful.
oh.
And especially because it keeps rubbing up against other.
Exactly. Oh, beautiful. This was beautiful. Thank you, Katie.
Oh, thank you.